Hi everybody, got a battle report for you today. This one's a little bit different. I recently did a giveaway for my blog turning 5 years old. One of the prizes was that the person who won got to write a list for me, and then I'd play it and make a batrep out of it. It was originally supposed to be for a doubles tournament, but that tournament got cancelled sadly. So instead, I spoke to the guy that won, and he said just play a 75-point game instead. The tournament was supposed to be a 35-point tournament. So he wrote me up a list, sent it to me, and I took it to the gaming club, and here's the results. So first I'd like to talk about the list that the competition winner, which is Andrew, picked for me. He picked Kraye in Storm Division, which is a little bit unusual for me. I have never run Kraye in Storm Division before. I mainly run him in Heavy Metal, but I was excited to see how it would turn out. So the list is Kraye with a Squire, which is free, 2 Stormclads, a Firefly, and a Centurion. And then there's Lattimore, Arlen Strangeways, who's also free, and then 2 sets of Stormcallers and 2 minimum units of Stormlancers. And I'm against my buddy Greylord Dave's Kador, and he is trying out Old Witch 2 today. I've never played against Old Witch 2. I've played against her in Grimkin, which is Old Witch 3. And I've not really had much success into Old Witch 3, so I was a bit hesitant about this game, but we'll see how it goes. He's playing her for the first time today. He's only just finished painting her up. He's a painted player like myself. So he has Old Witch with 3 Marauders, and then he's got Andrei Malakoff running a Juggernaut. He's got Kovnik Joe, a minimum unit of Winterguard infantry with the command attachment and 3 Rocketeers, a mortar crew which are free. Kovnik Joe's also free as well. Oh no, he's not. Ignore me. A minimum unit of Rifle Corps with 3 rockets, and a second Rifle Corps unit with 3 rockets, and then Lady Anaya and Master Holt with Valachev attached. So his free choices are the command attachment for the Winterguard and the mortar. So I got first turn, and I ran most things up and stayed out of the 20-inch threat of his Rocketeers, not wanting to lose Stormlancers turn 1. That would be pretty bad for me. Kraye puts admonition on the Stormclad on the left, and he puts countermeasures on the Firefly, which I hide behind the cloud in the middle. Arlen Strangeways puts evasive on the Centurion, which also tramples up and then reposition 5. It's pretty good to get that speed 4 jacker a little bit further up the board turn 1. I like putting evasive on a Warjack turn 1 just to kind of discourage AoEs just chucked randomly to try and kill support staff. It's pretty handy. So he puts red line from Malakoff up on the Juggernaut, which runs up. It takes like a point of damage. His 3 Marauders, the one in the middle, he puts Reconstruct up on, and he casts Windstorm, which will reduce the effectiveness of my guns quite considerably. He has an Iron Holt choose the stealth ability, so they're even harder to shoot. And Kovnik Joe gives the Winterguard, which are on the left, tough, and his other 2 units move up relatively cautiously. So he moved up his Warjacks reasonably aggressively, and I know that I can get into them this turn at least a little bit. So what I decided to do was, for Kraye's feat, which applies Flare and Beacon to things hit by ranged or melee attacks made by models in his control area, you kind of need Kraye to go first. So Kraye puts 1 point of focus on each of his heavies, so 1 point on each Stormclad and 1 point on the Centurion. And then he upkeeps admonition and countermeasures, and then I believe he just camps the rest of his focus. So he pops his feet and positions in the place to get most of the army that I want to make the feat the most effective. I have the Stormcallers on the right hand side, which are far enough away from Old Witch to be able to shoot without being affected by a windstorm. I have them all shoot at the Juggernaut on the right, that's on Malakoff, his junior. So they hit it and are within Kraye's control area, so it is now flared and beaconed. I don't get any crit disrupts, which is sad, and I think one of them even manages to do a point of damage, which is nice. I then have Lattimore charge into the middle Marauder, the one with Reconstruct on it. She opts not to go in for impact attacks. She decides to only go into max 2-inch reach, so my plan is that she'll be able to reposition away and out of the way so the Centurion can go in after her. A combination of her Assault Shot, getting D3 Electro Leaps from Lightning Generator, and her melee attack doing the same, and Ira and Holt both die from the E-Leaps, which is pretty fortunate for me. They're just marginally closer to the Marauder than the other Marauder is. So she does a little bit of damage, and more importantly puts Flare and Beacon up on that Marauder, which means that the Centurion in the middle can charge it without Kraye having to have cast his speed buff spell. So the Centurion does just that. Again, I opt not to go into ranged for my 1-inch reach shield weapon, because I want to hit the Marauder with a few spear attacks and then reposition away. So the Centurion does just that. He charges in for free because of Beacon. He gets his boosted to hit charge attack from being a technically cavalry model, and then he buys 2 more spear attacks and spends 1 to be polarity fielded, and then backs away. I have the Stormclad on the left. He gets given the 3rd point of focus he needs from activating near a Stormlance, and then he charges in on the Marauder on the left. Again, he charges for free. Or does he? Yeah, I think I hit him with an attack from a Stormlance first, maybe. I'm not amazingly sure. But anyway, he goes in and does a bit of damage to that Marauder, and then repositions away but stays in the zone, so he's contesting it. The Stormlancers on the left go in and absolutely wreck the Winter Guard infantry. They have tough checks, but a combination of impact attacks and assault shots, and then melee attacks with E-Leaps, they kill quite a lot of them. It was a Stormsmith on the left that hit the Marauder, which allowed the Stormclad on the left to charge for free. So then I send in my Stormclad on the right into the Juggernaut, and even with an assault shot and then 4 sword attacks, he doesn't do much damage at all. I roll really low on every single attack and leave him fairly healthy. I think I only take the fist weapon out. I then have my Stormlancers on that side charge in as well, and they don't really do much either. I run the Firefly up just to get in the way, to block charges, and pass the turn. Oh, and I put one of my Stormsmiths on my own flag to try and score that, and my Stormclad that went in on the Juggernaut repositioned backwards to be contesting the circle zone and also potentially scoring the rectangle zone. So Kador turn 2, he allocates some focus to some of his warjacks, upkeeps reconstruct, and he decides to send his Juggernaut. Well, first he gets Old Witch to put Curse of Shadows on the Stormlancers on the right, which means his models can move through them, and I can't make free strikes, and I'm -2 armor. This allows his Juggernaut on the right hand side to not take a free strike from a Stormlance, and it goes in and attacks my Stormclad. It does really decent damage but doesn't manage to kill the Stormclad. So this means he sends in his right hand Marauder to finish the job, and this means that his Juggernaut is now in the right hand zone on my side, and my Warjack is now dead on that side. So he just needs to kill 3 Stormsmiths on the right hand side to be able to score that zone. He puts Malakoff on the flag to be able to score that. The Old Witch, during her activation, also shot and blinded Lattimore. So the middle Marauder, the one with Reconstruct on it, charged and unmounted her, but didn't manage to kill her. It has a crippled arm, but more importantly to him, it contested my flag on the left hand side. He then wanted his Marauder on the left to charge or move up to my Stormclad to do a the combo smite attack to slam my Stormclad out of the zone, but I popped Admonition and walked away but stayed in the zone. His Winterguard on the left managed to kill one of my Stormlancers over there, and his rifle units, the Winterguard Riflemen and the Mortar Crew, well, the Mortar Crew fire and kill one of the Stormsmiths. The right hand unit of Riflemen do some CRAs and miss the remaining 2 Stormsmiths. Them having cover means they're defense 17, so some of them missed, and the remainder of them kill all 3 of my Stormlancers on that side. So I've got no contesting model now to stop the flag from being scored. So that's pretty much it. So he scores 1 point from his flag, but he contested mine, and the score goes 1-0 to Kador. So Signar turn 3. My left hand Stormclad was out of control range at the start of the turn, so he can't get any focus. I decide to upkeep countermeasures on the Firefly. So I have to deal with the right hand zone. That flank is folding fast. The left hand zone's going pretty, and hand flank's going pretty well. I've only got a few more Winterguard to deal with and a couple of Marauders, and one of them's quite badly damaged. So what I do is I have the Stormclad go. He is within 3 of a Stormlance, so he'll get 1 point of focus. He walks up behind the Marauder of Reconstruct and does some attacks on it. Nearly kills it. Lattimore tries, but she's blinded, so she doesn't really achieve much at all. My Centurion on is currently, it started in the centre zone. It gets fully loaded up with focus and charges and kills the Juggernaut, which I failed to kill last turn. It also buys an attack or so on the Marauder and then repositions into the wood on the right hand side, but has also popped Polarity Field rather than buying 1 more attack. This should keep it safe from that Marauder. I'm not worried about the Marauder killing it, I'm more worried about it being slammed out of the zone. My 2 Stormsmiths attack Malakoff. They manage to hurt him but leave him on 1 box. One of them moves within 4 inches to contest that flag. So I also put Strange Ways in the centre zone when he gave the Centurion a focus, just for an added contesting model, hoping that the wood in the middle of the board will help keep him safe. So I have the Storm Lances go, and on the left they attack some Winter Guard, killed a couple more, but one of them charges the Marauder with Reconstruct that's contesting my flag. Its assault shot kills the Marauder, and then Reconstruct triggers, and the Marauder gets placed outside of his melee range. So he just redirects it to the Marauder in the top zone. But that leaves me with a Marauder still contesting my flag, so Kraye himself charges it and kills it, and then repositions partly behind that flag. He moves his Squire off to the left, so it's fully behind the cloud, so it's should be fairly safe from being able to get shot. The important thing is my Centurion is in control, and so is my Stormclad now. The Stormclad, after it made its attacks, repositioned further into his zone to make it a little bit harder for it to be combo smited out of the zone. Oh, I forgot to mention also my Firefly charged the Mortar Crew and killed one, and mainly wanted to just sit amongst all the riflemen with countermeasures up. So Kador turn 3, he sends his Marauder actually off to kill Island Strangeways, which I wasn't really expecting a heavy to go kill a solo, but you know, it gets it closer to my caster and my flag, which is quite a threat. His infantry on the right managed to kill my Stormsmith that's contesting, and the rest just run into my rectangular zone, so I can't score there anymore. I forgot to mention that I did score 2 points last turn, so the score at the start of his turn was 2 to me, 1 to him. So I've now got a bunch of infantry in my right hand zone, and only one Stormsmith and a Centurion left over there. He has a plan to contest my flag, so he has his caster go. She shoots Lattimore with blinds her, and then she tries to cast a Scourge, targeting Valachev, who's run up to my Stormclad. Luckily for me though, it misses, scatters, and knocks down my Stormclad and his Marauder. And because his Marauder was knocked down in his own turn, it can't get back up. His intention was to knock down my Stormclad and then run the Marauder in, or charge the Marauder in, to contest my flag. His remaining riflemen shoot and kill Lattimore, and passes the turn to me, so he scores 1 on his flag, I score 1 on my flag. So Signar turn 4, I put some focus on my Centurion, and I put some focus on the Stormclad as well. So what I do is I have this Centurion on the right charge his Marauder, does some damage, and then he repos back into my right hand zone. I really want to contest that just in case he goes for the double bluff and just runs his Marauder over there to score. The Stormsmith on the right actually manages to kill Malakoff, so he has nothing on that side of the board that can score anymore, which is great for me. I have my Stormsmiths just shoot at Winter Guard infantry. They do so a couple of kills, and then my Storm Lances charge. So one's already bogged down, so he just makes a non-charge attack against a Winter Guard, and the one that's not engaged charges the Marauder and does a little bit of damage. But more importantly, ends up within 3 of my Stormclad. The Stormclad then attacks and destroys the Marauder, and Eleeps kill Valachev, and then it starts buying attacks on the old witch, because it might as well use up its focus. It does some damage to her. She did have focus, so it was reduced a little bit. He repositions to contest the circle zone and the the left-hand zone. I do score that rectangle zone on the left, and I also score my flag. So the score goes up again. So it's now, I think it's 5-2 to me, and I pass the turn to him. So Kador turn 4. So he does something that I wasn't really expecting with his Marauder. It actually charges the Stormclad. Now, it decides to do Combo Smite to slam me, and slams my Stormclad out of the circle zone it just had enough movement to do it, and does some decent damage to it, but also slams it into the old witch, which was a little bit of a bonus for me because it did a bit of damage to her. The old witch, Curse of Shadows, my Firefly, and boosts to hit that, so there's no free strikes for the rifle infantry unit, which run into the zone to score that. And he had also made a couple of attacks from the old witch into my Stormclad, doing a bit of damage to it. I think he's left it with just its sword arm left. It's got no cortex movement, it's got nothing else left, it's nearly dead. But at the end of the turn, I do manage to score my flag and the rectangle zone, because his caster doesn't contest, and he scores the circle zone, so the score goes up again. I think I'm on 7 and he's on 3 at the end of this turn. So Signal turn 5. So what I decide to do here is, with the score being 7-5, I can just technically clock back to him and win, going up to 9 control points to his 3. I think he's got 3 or 4. Either way, I run the Squire into the circle zone to contest that, and then I don't actually have to do anything to win, but I want to see if I can kill the old witch, so I go for it. I have the Firefly move and just make an attack on her. Doesn't have any focus, so didn't really expect much from it. I then have my Stormsmiths shoot her, they don't really do much. The 2 Storm Lancers I have left charge in. One gets to make impact attacks because he's in the back arc and he can't really hurt my own models. The Stormsmith, the Storm Lance that's attacking next to the Stormclad, I don't risk the impact attack in case I kill my Stormclad. They do some decent damage, but they leave the old witch alive on a couple of boxes. So I figure, why not let Kraye shoot his gun? He used the old witch's ability to have a cheaper spell last turn, so he aims boost to hit, boost damage, and he manages to kill the old witch with his gun, and that's a signal victory. So overall, it was an interesting experience to play somebody else's list. I've never considered putting Kraye in Storm Division, so it was different to play a list that I'd never considered. I really liked the focus efficiency of the Stormclads. Only having to give them 1 focus really let Kraye camp some focus every turn, so he was less vulnerable to shooting. The Stormsmiths didn't really achieve a great deal in this list. They did apply the feat, which was pretty handy, and were good for scoring flags. I think a good addition to the list would have been trying to fit a Journeyman Warcaster in there somewhere. I think maybe drop Strangeways, put in a Journeyman Warcaster for the Firefly, because an Armour 24 Centurion is a much better anchor for the list. Other than that, it was quite a fun list to play, and my friend Greylord Dave, he thought it was quite an interesting list too. He really enjoyed playing the Old Witch, and I should expect to be playing against her a lot which means some of my range lists aren't going to be as effective, which should be fun. So yeah, expect to see the old witch again on the channel. Alright, catch you later guys.